I believe the words that you are looking for are holy crap. The inflation report is dreadful, yet the market went up nearly 800 points. And you're like, what in the world is possibly happening here? I will admit to you, it was a shock to me to see the numbers rise so incredibly. But it also shows, once again, that this divide between Wall Street and Midwest Main Street is very, very real. What you are experiencing in your life clearly isn't what Wall Street is experiencing, because the inflation we're all dealing with exists in our everyday lives, especially those food costs that are up year over year, 14.1%. The cost of everything, whether we're talking about flour, whether we're talking about eggs, whether we're talking about gas, up, up, and up. To the Biden administration, no. We're doing a great job. But if you elect those Republicans, well, then you'll really see some bad things happen. Welcome to the show, everybody. Presented by Americans for Prosperity. AmericansForProsperity.org. Economic liberty, free speech. I'm into those things right there. I appreciate them letting me do this show right here. Joe Biden has now reached the full comical stage of this economy. He can't avoid it. He can't ignore it. He knows that it's real. He knows that it's a problem. So his answer is blame Republicans. Fearmonger about Republicans. It'll be worse if there is Republicans. And how in the world could you question a guy who says things like this?
Representative Maxine Waters. Whatever Maxine says, I agree with.
I mean, I should be done with the show at that stage of the game. I should be like, all right, I'm Costanza. I'm out. Thank you. And then just walk right off. Anything Maxine Waters says that you agree with. Maxine Waters, who actually had to catch herself quite a few years ago, not too many years ago, but enough years ago, at a panel, their congressional panel, saying that she would nationalize the oil industry, but caught herself. Maxine Waters, who says, you see Trump cabinet members, you surround them and you push back on them, and pushing that kind of violence. Good for you, Joe. But, it's Joe Biden. I'm not sure he knows what he's saying moment to moment. He gave a talk today, and I've got so much of it, but I think, do I start with just the basics, just to understand how bad things are?
And finally, year over year, strip out food and energy, also hotter than expectations, up 6.6. That follows 6.3, and 6.6 is a new high. The old high was 6.5 in March. That went back to 1982.
It is the highest core CPI, Consumer Price Index, highest inflation in 40 years. That's where we're at with Joe Biden. And the 6.6, you have to understand, the inflation rate was 8.2%. That number, when you take out food and energy, which they consider the most volatile, gets you to 6.6. That's the core inflation rate. The food and the energy, though, are the things that we deal with, how we heat our homes. And that's going to be a serious, serious issue this winter. We've been talking about this. People are going to choose between heat and eat. They're going to have to make that choice. The Europeans are wholly screwed on this conversation, but I'm not interested in making a comparison to Europe, which is exactly what this administration wants to do time and time again. Sure, there's inflation, but compared to the rest of the world, we're doing great. We're not the rest of the world. And Midwest Main Street is not interested in what's going on in Bulgaria. They're interested in what's going on in their home and with their kids. They're interested in the fact that they've lost so much in their 401ks, that they aren't quite sure what comes next in their own job market, that everything is more expensive, and real choices get made. Real choices that are going to be tough choices are going to get made. And this administration wants to tell you that everything is totally wonderful and terrific, and why are you worried? And gas prices? Oh, gas prices are just fine. And as a matter of fact, they should come down.
Well, here's what I'll say. Most Americans are seeing prices at the pump now that are down $1, $1.20 from where they were this summer. And the prices that energy companies are paying, the wholesale prices, are at historically low levels compared to what the retail prices are being paid. And so if markets do what they should do, those retail prices should come down. They should come down over the course of the next couple of weeks, and consumers should see that in terms of the retail price that they pay.
Yeah.
Why in the world should gas prices come down? OPEC has cut 2 million barrels a day in production. The United States under the Biden administration is very aggressive against creating energy. While we are a net exporter, we export less energy than we did under Donald Trump. Therefore, the market doesn't have more energy to sell, and therefore, supply and demand being very, very real, those prices come down. What is Brian Deese, who's the on the economic side of things in the Biden administration? Why is he saying this? Why is he? What do you mean they should come down? Because Joe Biden screams at oil companies, you should lower the price at the pump. All of a sudden, supply and demand doesn't matter. Supply and demand isn't real. Of course it's real. But the idea that energy prices are going to come down anytime soon is a lie. And Joe Biden engaged a tremendous amount of lying here. And because he can't explain away his own bad economic policies, because to do that would be to admit that he is ideological and the party is ideological as opposed to rational. When it comes to these prices, he says, you know what? We're standing up for the working class. It's those Republicans you got to worry about.
So, folks, seniors are going to have inflation next year. For the first time in 10 years, their Social Security checks will go up while their Medicare premiums go down. Here's my final point. We've got an election in the month. Voters have to decide. Democrats are working to bring down the cost of things and to talk about around the kitchen table, from prescription drugs to health insurance to energy bills and so much more. We're standing up for working people and the right to get a raise and get a better job. Republicans are campaigning every day on an agenda to raise your costs.
Republicans are running on a campaign to increase your costs? What the hell is the man talking about? Do I really want to trust a guy who tells America, when we know inflation was up 8.2% and the core CPI was up 6.6%, and he tells America that inflation was only up 2%?
Today's report shows, though, some progress. Overall, inflation was 2% over the last 3 months. That's down from 11% over the prior 3 months. That's progress, but a lot of it is a result of getting the cost of living at the gas pump down by more, not even in California now, by more than $1 nationally, and since the start of this summer. There's a big difference for working folks.
Gas prices have gone up over the last 2 to 3 weeks. In the Midwest, there was a bit of a gas price increase because of a refinery issue in Indiana. That rationally would increase some gas prices. AAA, a month ago now, was it close to a month ago, said that they expected gas prices in this winter, when there's less traveling, to be back to $5 a gallon. And we seem to be trending back in that direction. So all of the oil that Biden has put into the system via the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, damaging the possibilities of need in the United States. If you reduce what you have in the Strategic Reserve by hundreds of millions of barrels when you actually need it for very serious issues, you won't have it. If we just unleashed what we have in America and engaged the concept of energy security, we would all be better off. But ideologically, this administration won't do it. They know they won't do it. And what do? They tell you that things are good. Notice the wordplay there. 2% over the last 3 months. 14.1% on food. Nothing changes that. Gas prices have gone up. Nothing changes that either. And energy prices and Toto. We saw, I think, a reduction in some medical costs when they were up much higher last month. You're spending more on everything, and they cannot change what's happening in your wallet and in your pocketbook. They want to. They're desperate to. They simply cannot do it. And that's why the new tact is in place. When we're less than 30 days from the election, when in doubt, blame Republicans and fearmonger.
But not a single penny. No, I mean it, not a single penny. If Republican wins, inflation is going to get worse. It's that simple.
Why? Why is it that simple? Just because you said so? It's flat out fear-mongering nonsense. Now, I will tell you that if Republicans don't have plans that involve less spending to bring down inflation, well, yeah, things could be equally as bad. You have to spend less. Inflation is when you have too much cash and not enough stuff. And part of the problem is that you keep putting cash into the economy. That's why the Inflation Reduction Act Sorry, it's just a really funny line because it's a lie. The Inflation Reduction Act doesn't reduce inflation. It is a spending bill and a tax bill. They keep trumpeting, look what we did with the American Rescue Plan, the $1.9 trillion. Look how much it's being used. No question or conversation to the inflationary pressure it's created. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. He's lying and he didn't stop.
And today's report shows, though, some progress.
That's not it right there. I thought I had one more. I maybe we've heard enough. Maybe we've heard enough from Joe Biden. The brazenness of the lies is what we have to be discussing and what we have to be sharing on social media with friends all over the place. First, no, the economy is not in a good spot. When Janet Yellen says she really sees America from the American point of view is in a good place, she's trying to make the comparison to other nations. That is not an argument. Saying that inflation is only up 2% is word manipulation. It's a lie. Screaming that gas prices should come down is also a lie. They're not coming down. And also telling the gas companies, how dare you, is just bullying. Play the game. Play the game. What if Trump did it? What if Trump said gas prices or gas companies you should lower your price? You're a bully. You're a dictator. You're an authoritarian. This is a banana republic. You'd hear it all. MSNBC, people would be actually having heart attacks right there on the screen. And Tiffany Cross and Joy Reid would be explaining to you how specifically this is an attack on black people. I mean, well, you do that with everything. So yeah, it's what they do. Just leave that over to the side. Lies and manipulation and fear mongering. Less than 30 days before an election. You can't spin the bad numbers. They're bad, baby. And they're bad based on policy. Also, the very idea that nobody has faith in you, Joe. They don't trust you. They don't trust your team. You told us the adults were back in the room. Where is the room? Because the adults haven't been able to find it yet. That's the real story. There are no adults in the room. There are ideologues playing ideological games who believe that what you will eventually get is the transition to the green economy and we'll all be better off. You won't be able to heat your home this winter, but we'll save Mother Gaia. Don't worry. You'll thank us later. This is why Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan Chase, who I don't always agree with, was explaining that when you increase the price of oil, it's not like you switch to green. You see a multiplicity of nations engage coal. I thought coal was the worst thing in the world, but they want cheap energy. So cheap oil is better for the environment than what it is we have now. But the left cheers this because they think, it proves that electric cars are the future. They're not. I'm not anti-Elon Musk. I'm not anti-electric car. I want to see more hydrogen vehicles. Personally, you need oil. You need oil to run a country. You need oil to run a society. That's just the way it is. We can pretend, we can wish, we can fantasize, but reality is. And the reality is this winter is going to be very rough for a lot of people. Let me go to the comments. Kenneth, what's up, baby? At the risk of sounding like a socialist, that is never a way to start anything. You start a Tinder profile like that, you will never, ever have anybody swipe right. I'm just telling you right now, Kenneth. Plausible to believe that this albatross known as inflation and all that is at the behest of Western leaders who have never lived under the middle or working class of the citizenry they govern. They know as much about a kitchen table discussion as Hugh Hefner knew about abstinence. Why are we bringing Hugh into this? What? Man's dead. What are you doing? But your question is the idea of the disconnect between DC and the rest of us, just like I talk about the disconnect between Wall Street and Midwest Main Street. I think that disconnect is very, very real. The thing that I find peculiar about that argument and why I don't know why it would hold, because let's say that's true. They hear from their constituents. And their constituents still vote for the people who engage this mess? Well, this is what happens when you have been told that the only thing that matters in the world is abortion. When you are told the only thing that matters in the world is abortion, how could any of these other things matter? But those people, those ideologues, you're never going to convince them. You can't get them. They are who they are, and maybe eventually they'll see that while it may matter to them, these other things, and when ranked, do matter more. Because the idea that abortion matters to the left does not mean it doesn't matter to the right, the people who believe in life. But they understand that while that's true, they have to be able to take care of their family. They have to be able to have a thriving nation. Without that, you have nothing. So the people that you're really talking about are swing voters and independents and moderates who are saying, yeah, I think this should be the lesser restriction on abortion, or I think this should be the situation over here on this social issue. But holy crap, my kids are cold. I got to vote this way and try for something different. So while I appreciate the commentary, it is confusing to me because it means that the voters only or the voters aren't voting, the voters aren't demanding, the voters aren't pushing. And I don't think that's the case. But maybe I take it the other way. These elected officials don't care. They know they're going to get their core constituency to vote. And after all, once you know that, you don't actually have to work for the vote. You might as well be as ideological as you want to ensure you'll always get the vote, as opposed to saying, you know what, we have to change this thing, and being honest with their constituents. Maybe that's it. This is Happy Camp. Happy Camper. What's going on, Boo Bear? Good to see you. Glad you're a part of the show. Thanks so much. Happy Camper. He's decided to limit Venezuelans into the country, and the ones that are admitted have requirements. What a joke after borders have been open and millions of people have come in. I will admit to you, this so for Venezuelans, all of a sudden Remain in Mexico is back. I don't know if you caught that from Biden. They're working together with the with Mexico, and for Venezuelans, Remain in Mexico is back. You remember that Trump plan? That was, of course, evil and heartless and cruel. Biden's now doing it. What else am I supposed to say? Absolute madness. Rick, first of all, Rick Montaigne, good to see you, kid. Rick was a California guy when I was a California guy. Was good man. I've known him for a great number of years. Rick, I want to say that I saw on social media that you got married. Mazel tov. I believe that was you. Good on you. I believe this too, man, that voters vote with their pocketbook. But some people vote ideologically. I don't think we should deny that. I don't think we should deny that they should vote with their pocketbook and a series of other things. And even if these social issues like abortion are on their subject, on their list, they got to rank it. And that's the part that blows my mind. That they somehow think that is the subject over your family being cold this winter. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's when your ideology replaces your humanity, what's left, honestly. Guys, that is the show. Oh my gosh, I have so much work to do. It's ridiculous. But, I chose this life and I am not complaining. My thanks to Americans for Prosperity, AmericansForProsperity.org. Appreciate them. Don't always agree, but I love the fact that they believe in the open conversation. And they let me do this thing. They're just like, here, do this thing. I'm like, I can do that. And we've been doing it. It's been going great. And I appreciate you. You can catch me on WIBC. WIBC.com, 6 to 9 a.m., noon to 3 as well. More show there. So enjoy that. And Mind of an Angel. Thank you, man. Thank you. Oh, my personality. Aren't I charming? Guys, I appreciate you. I will catch you tomorrow when we do Cigars and Solutions. It's going to be good.